Ever wondered how different cooking methods affect the tenderness and juiciness of seafood? Well, you're in the right place to find out. We're about to embark on a culinary journey, exploring how grilling, steaming, frying, and baking can transform your seafood dishes from good to extraordinary. Understanding how each cooking method interacts with different types of seafood is crucial in the kitchen. It's the difference between a succulent shrimp and a rubbery disaster. It's the science behind a flaky, moist salmon and a dry, unappetizing mess. It's the secret to the perfect seafood dish every time. We'll be delving into the nuances of grilling, the art of steaming, the finesse of frying, and the magic of baking. Each method has its own unique way of enhancing the natural flavors and textures of seafood, and we're going to discover them all. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into each method and uncover the secrets of cooking seafood to perfection. First up on our list is grilling, a method beloved by many for its unique flavors. Grilling seafood is an art and a science combined, a delightful dance between the flames and the delicate flesh of the fish. This cooking method is revered for its ability to seal in the moisture of the seafood while creating a beautifully crispy exterior. The high heat of the grill is the secret weapon here, quickly cooking the seafood and locking in its natural juices. However, grilling seafood is not without its challenges. One of the most common mistakes is overcooking. Seafood is delicate and can easily become dry if left on the grill for too long. Unlike other proteins, seafood doesn't need a long cooking time. In fact, it's quite the contrary. Most seafood items only need a few minutes on each side to reach their optimal level of doneness. So how can you avoid overcooking? The key is to keep a close eye on your seafood as it grills. Look for the telltale signs of doneness. For instance, shrimp will turn a vibrant pink and fish will flake easily with a fork. Another tip is to use a grill basket or foil packets. These tools help to evenly distribute the heat and prevent smaller pieces of seafood from falling through the grill grates. They also make flipping your seafood a breeze. Grilling seafood also requires constant attention. You can't just set it and forget it. You need to be vigilant, checking it regularly and turning it to ensure even cooking. You also want to avoid moving your seafood around too much. Let it sear on one side before flipping it to the other. This will give you that delicious, crispy exterior we all love. Also, remember to preheat your grill before adding your seafood. A hot grill will help to prevent sticking and will give you those desirable grill marks. Finally, don't be afraid to use a marinade or a rub. These can add an extra layer of flavor and help to keep your seafood moist during the grilling process. Remember, grilling requires constant attention to ensure your seafood doesn't become dry or overcooked. Next, we explore steaming, a cooking method known for preserving the natural flavors and nutrients of seafood. Steaming, as a culinary practice, is as old as cooking itself. It's a technique that harnesses the power of hot vapor, gently cooking the seafood from all angles without any direct contact with water or oil. This method is particularly well suited to seafood given its delicate texture and subtle flavors. Let's delve into how steaming keeps seafood tender and juicy. When you steam seafood, its tissues don't contract as much as they do with other cooking methods. This means that the seafood retains more of its natural moisture, resulting in a tender, juicy bite. Steaming also allows seafood to cook evenly, preventing it from becoming tough and chewy. But the benefits of steaming extend beyond just texture. This method is renowned for its ability to preserve the natural taste of food. When you steam seafood, you're not overpowering its unique oceanic flavors with heavy sauces or seasonings. Instead, you're allowing the seafood's intrinsic taste to shine through. Moreover, steaming is a wonderfully healthy way to prepare seafood because there's no need for oil, butter, or other fats. The calorie count stays low. Plus, unlike boiling or poaching, steaming doesn't leach away water-soluble vitamins and minerals. So, you're not only getting a delicious meal, but a nutritious one too. The simplicity of steaming is another significant advantage. Once you've set up your steamer, it's largely a matter of waiting. There's no need to worry about flipping the seafood or adjusting the heat. And because steaming is a closed-system cooking method, it minimizes odors, a definite bonus when you're cooking seafood. But remember, steaming is a delicate process. It requires a careful eye and a gentle touch. Overdo it, and your seafood could turn rubbery. Underdo it, and your seafood could be undercooked. But when done just right, steaming can yield incredibly tender and flavorful seafood. Steaming is a delicate process, but with care it can yield incredibly tender and flavorful seafood. Now let's turn up the heat with frying, a method that gives seafood a delightful crunch. Frying is a high-heat cooking technique that sears the outside of your seafood, creating a crispy golden brown crust that locks in the juices. The key to achieving that perfect crunch without drying out your seafood lies in the right temperature. Too cold and your seafood will absorb too much oil, becoming greasy and soggy. Too hot and the outside will burn before the inside is properly cooked. The sweet spot, that's typically around 375 degrees Fahrenheit. A good thermometer is your best friend here. It'll help you maintain that ideal temperature throughout the frying process. But remember, the temperature of your oil will drop when you add your seafood, so always allow it to come back up to temperature before adding the next batch. Now, let's talk about the batter. A good batter not only adds flavor, but also protects your seafood from the harsh heat of the fryer. It's like a protective coat that keeps the seafood moist and juicy on the inside while getting nice and crispy on the outside. You can keep it simple with a basic flour and water mixture, or spice things up with herbs, spices, or even beer for a light, airy texture. Seasoning is also important. Whether you choose to season your seafood before or after frying, or both, is up to you. Just remember, seafood is delicate, so a light hand is often best. A bit of salt and pepper might be all you need, but don't be afraid to experiment with other flavors. A squeeze of fresh lemon, a sprinkle of paprika, or a dash of cayenne can add a whole new dimension to your dish. Frying may seem intimidating at first, with the hot oil and potential for splatters, but with a bit of practice and the right tools, it's a method that can yield some truly mouth-watering results. Plus, there's something satisfying about that golden brown crunch giving way to tender, juicy seafood. Frying can be a bit messy, but the result is irresistibly delicious seafood. Last but certainly not least, we have baking, a versatile method that can be used for a variety of seafood dishes. Baking is a method that's often overlooked, yet it's a brilliant way to achieve even cooking and retain that all-important moisture in your seafood. Picture this, a succulent piece of salmon, its skin slightly crispy, its flesh flaking apart at the mere touch of a fork. The aroma wafts up, tantalizing your nostrils with the promise of a mouth-watering meal. That, my friends, is the magic of baking. When you bake seafood, you're essentially enveloping it in a hot, dry environment, which allows the heat to circulate evenly around the food. This means the seafood cooks uniformly, no part overcooked or undercooked, just perfectly done. And because the seafood is usually enclosed in a dish or wrapped in foil, the moisture has nowhere to escape, leading to a juicy and tender meal. Now let's talk marinades and seasonings. When you bake, these flavors have the chance to truly meld with the seafood, permeating it through and through. Imagine a piece of cod marinated in lemon, garlic, and a sprinkle of dill, then baked to perfection. The flavors are more pronounced, more robust, because they've had the time to truly become one with the seafood. And don't forget about the added bonus of baking. It's a relatively hands-off method. Once your seafood is prepped and in the oven, you can step back and let the heat do its work. This gives you time to prepare sides, set the table, or even just relax with a glass of wine. Baking is not just about the end result, but the entire process. It's about taking the time to create something truly delicious and savoring every moment of it. So while it might take a bit longer than other methods, baking is a foolproof way to ensure your seafood is tender and juicy. It's about patience and letting the flavors meld together to create a symphony of taste that will leave you wanting more. Baking might take a bit longer, but it's a foolproof method that always delivers tender and juicy seafood. So there you have it, a guide on how different cooking methods can affect the tenderness and juiciness of your seafood. We've walked through grilling, where the fast, high heat sears in the succulence of the seafood. We've explored steaming, a gentle method that lets the natural flavors shine while preserving the food's inherent moisture. We've dived into frying, where the quick, intense heat can yield a crispy exterior while keeping the interior tender. And finally, we've baked, a method that allows for a slower cook and a chance to infuse the seafood with other flavors. Each method has its own merits and will yield different results depending on the type of seafood and the desired outcome. So the choice is yours to make based on your personal preference and the specific dish you're preparing. Remember, practice makes perfect, so go ahead and try these methods out for yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and comment.